Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another installment of the State of FEH Podcast. It's definitely been a while since we last did one. I'm DTM as always, and we have two very special returning guests. First, a returning friend of the channel. Why don't you introduce yourself, Oblivion Knight?
Hey everyone, it's Oblivion. Glad to be back, and there's a lot to discuss, I think. We just got some great updates and some new topics to talk about.
Yes, there's definitely been a lot of activity in FEH as of late, so definitely lots to talk about, as you mentioned. And secondly, we have another returning friend of the channel. Why don't you introduce yourself, Joel, from FEHology?
Hello, Summoners, and welcome to DTM's podcast here. We have had a complete onslaught of absolute busted things ever since at least summer. I mean, does it go back further? It has been intense, and it's nice to just sit back and talk about that just for a second.
Yeah, there's just so much that happened. I feel like summer is definitely the time where all the craziness happens in FEH. Like, obviously we have CYL, but we also have like the amazing summer units and everything that goes into that. What would you say, I guess to start things off, what would you say is the most interesting new addition that we've had in FEH since the last time we've met?
Oh man. What the last thing we talked about was Chaos Aetherage, right? I think that was
if it's too broad, we can narrow it down to this month.
No, it's fine. I think the fact that we got Distant Counter Dragon Seal, because I did not see that one coming. Like, that was a big, just out of like nowhere addition to the game. And while it didn't affect like every single unit or something, it's like a big change, right? And it does like really make dragons a lot better. And it also just kind of like shows you how far Intelligent Systems was willing to go, because I never thought they would go that far.
I don't think any of us expected a Distant Counter Seal, to be perfectly honest. Like, I thought it's so surprising we've gotten that before, like a Guard Seal or anything.
Yeah.
Like, we got a 300 SP seal before just like Guard or any other.
Or hit and run.
Yeah,
How about a hit and run seal? Yeah.
Ooh, I would like that.
That would be so good on so many Kanto units. Like, Brave Eirika would definitely appreciate that for sure.
It would be really interesting. It wouldn't break the game. I think that would be a lot of fun.
I'm definitely down for more seals like that, and like just less like super powerful ones. Though I would like some more attack and speed ones, because whenever I play SDS, I'm always running out. I'm like, I need more attack and speed seals.
Okay, completely controversial opinion here. You guys are gonna love this. The DC seal sucks.
Do you think so?
Really?
I do. I think it sucks. I didn't realize it until I started doing all of these sims for different for the different legendaries. And the thing that I hadn't thought about, there are two things that I haven't adjusted to. The new DC skills that add stats as well as DC are way better than I realized, which is stupid because of course they're really good.
Right.
The other big thing, well, I mean, really the reason is they're on such powerful units that we very rarely get to fodder them away. But the other thing is, I haven't taken into account the fact that our seals have gotten so much better, like in the last year and a half. Like the form seals. Oh, the form seals are amazing. And so by having DC in your seal, you're missing out. Like, if you've got a super premium unit, you're missing out on this A skill with extra stats, and you're missing out on this extra skill with extra seal, like attack speed form or something. And in most cases, I think you'd rather run like I was just doing sims with Legendary Myr, and her best kit as far as matchups go is Distant Storm and Attack Res Form. And she just demolishes things. Whereas if you have the Distant Counter Seal, her value goes way down.
Right.
That's really interesting.
One thing I want to say real quick was when you said a lot of us don't get to farm because they're all premium units. I just thought all the legendary phase I killed.
that was my first thought. Dude.
Sorry, most of them are premium units.
Poor Faye. What did she ever do to you two?
I mean, she just came with a really good skill I really wanted, but yeah.
So I guess let me back up a little bit. It doesn't suck, but it is definitely budget. And that's why I think it's okay that it's out. It's not as big of a deal as people think it is.
I agree with you to an extent, because I think that's like one of the major reasons that people have like problems with Distant Counter, right? Is that it doesn't give you stats. People don't see that a lot. Like one of the reasons why I think Ascendant Fjorm is not the best unit, like she's very good fodder, but as a unit herself, one of the reasons why she really suffers is because she doesn't have stats, right? In her weapon. She just has DC. And she really needs those stats. She needs that speed, especially so that she doesn't get doubled and die.
Yeah, that's really interesting to think about, because like oftentimes when I think about Distant Counter versus some other A skill, I think about the extra effects that certain A skills have, like the guard that, say, Kestrel Stance has. But just the stats alone is also really important in winning those key matchups, which, like, as Joel mentioned, like the form skills, we've gotten so many good skills, not even counting things like potentially bonus doubler and other important seals like that. We've definitely gotten a lot since the days when seals were so limited.
So I don't know about you guys. I cannot remember that I have a bonus doubler seal. It doesn't seem real to me. Like I did half of my arena run today with male Robin, who's terrible. And I put attack defense bond on him when I could have done bonus doubler. I mean, it hasn't clicked in my head that this is an actual seal that you can equip.
I do forget it sometimes, for sure.
I completely forgot it when I was doing SDS for my knot, to be really honest.
Oh, yeah, that would have been really good on her.
Yeah, I just stuck with like the standard attack speed form seal. But I mean, I think it just comes down to the fact that there's not a lot of units that would prefer bonus doubler to any other seal, like completely be able to take advantage of it. It definitely stacks with like units like Not that already has bonus doubler, so that you can maximize the scaling on adding buffs into her. But yeah, bonus doubler, I know a lot of people were very excited about, but I haven't seen a lot of personally.
It is so good situationally, though. Like, I mean, in the case with using any infantry bonus unit in Arena, because Arena is so heavily on the visible buffs, it's just amazing there.
I think it's like pretty solid in lots of places. Like in my SDS, I was using a beast stall team, and I had Askr and Elamine there, and because Elamine gives 2 visible buffs, I just put attack tactic on her, and I gave Askr the bonus doubler seal, and he got like, an additional 6 attack defense and resistance, right? Yeah. And it worked. Like it was pretty good. Like it was pretty hard to get through him.
Yeah, there's definitely been. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Okay, so I was going to change the topic. So if you got anything else on that,
I was actually going to as well, but you go ahead.
Let me say one more thing. Like you were saying, though, I think that the amount of stats we get in a seal is kind of crazy now, right? Like before, like if you go back to the first days, you're getting like 3 stats or something, and now we're getting like late session gives 8 up to 18, right? That's kind of insane. And so I think that's in our current meta, like there's just a lot of stat checks, and the stats are actually really important right now. Like when it comes down to like resistance checks to get past like Dragon Wall or those resistance-based effect, like damage reduction effects, and then also like the speed ones, right? Like speed matchups are very, very big right now. Right. Like a lot of units like Brave Eirika or like Duo Ike or stuff are pretty much dependent on speed checks. Like if Eirika can't win that speed check, a lot of times she loses matchup. And same with like Duo Ike and a ton of other units as well. So I do think that like the DC seal, while it is very good, I think it's pretty good actually. But like losing stats does hurt for sure. I think the one unit I like on is the Fallen Rhea though. Actually, that's the one unit I like on, because for me my biggest problem with her was that I wanted to run a hardy fighter build, because I feel like you kind of need that in like SD, right? Like her Dragon Wall is good, but like if she gets hit by like Duo Chrom, she's just dead if she doesn't have hardy fighter. But the thing is with Rhea, like her big thing is that she has the counter attack, right? She has the resistance based damage based off the foe or whatever. And so you have to have DC to take advantage of that. If you don't have DC to take advantage of that, there's no reason to use her. So her having that in her seal does allow her to like have like a stance 3 in her A, which gives her guard. So I think it's like, I don't know. It's not as broken as people thought it was, but I do think it's decent.
Oh, it definitely is. And I mean, like we said, you can't. Not everyone has like 15 Fays in their barracks to just fodder away. There's still very rare skills that you get the upgraded version. And if you're comparing those, I mean, it's great to have regular DC and a stance skill to do the guard. I mean, that's fantastic. But if we're talking about super like invested all the way plus 10s, it's definitely better to have the fancy distant counters and then your CYL.
Right.
Wish I can relate, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I'll take anything I can get. Like, I think also, like, there's not a lot of units besides, like, armors that would thrive in a meta that we have currently. Like, because, like, omni-tanking is not exactly that prevalent, which is what a lot of people would think about using DC seals to use. Now, obviously, for armors, like dragon armors, this will be very strong, like for Fallen Rhea, like you mentioned. But if you're just talking like any other infantry dragon, well, I mean, we could just look at how Noe's been doing before the DC seal. Even though she is very strong, she's not exactly meta that prevalent in the meta, so to speak, besides on like, I guess, raid boss teams in SD.
Right. Yeah, that's the only place I really see her. Yeah, I agree. I think it's cool though. Like, it's nice because I think it works well with Brave Tiki, which is nice. Yes. I mean, I really wish she was an armor. Like, I really, really, really wish that unit was an armor. She'd be so much better.
She would be so good as an armor. I do agree.
They wimped out. They really did. Like that. She needed to be an armor.
Like that effect where you can like turn off people's specials is such a cool effect, and I love it. But like her being not an armor just makes it like so less like vital. Like you can't use it as well as you'd love to.
Yeah.
Right. Because again, like Omni tanks are just not that impactful these days, which is really unfortunate.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah, it's true. Definitely.
So the thing,
go ahead and change the
subject. and in that same vein, the thing that's happened in the last couple months, I want to talk about the fact that legendary male Byleth, is drastically losing value. Every banner they bring out, he loses more value. These null follow-up skills are just coming out everywhere, and they're really powerful.
Right.
I did not fully take in, we talked about infantry null follow-up in our between us, and that was I was kind of meh on it, and I'm kind of going back on that. I did not realize how giving null follow-up to your infantry unit would be as good as it has been, especially for a certain unit named Dimitri.
Of course.
I was really big on it, right? When it came out on Celica, I started Celica, I really wanted it. And so even though I did a summoning session, afterwards I summoned more because I wanted Celica so I could kill her. And she just wouldn't come home. I was so angry. I spent so many orbs and I did not get her at all. So I just gave up. But now that, like literally a month later, it's here on Brave Chrom. So now, unfortunately, Brave Chrom's going to have to die. At least one of them. Because
you can't do that
really,
Brave
really
Chrom.
good. I got more than one. One can die. It's okay.
All right. But no,
it's for the sake of Ike.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, like when I saw that on Celica, I was like so ecstatic because one of the big problems I had with, I guess, using my OG Lucina is because I use a Spurn build. She can't actually run no follow-up. You can do something sort of weird where you run QR seal, so that's sort of like an Omnibreaker effect, which is sort of like a pseudo no follow-up. But obviously it's not the real thing, especially if the enemy had no follow-up. But yeah, I feel like that and skills like that, just giving out no follow-up, is honestly something that I did not expect, because no follow-up used to be an extremely, I guess, like, a unit lock skill besides the B skill, right? You normally have that on the weapon. It's not generally granted to other units, but besides legendary male Byleth.
And it was rare. Like, it was hard to get that skill. And suddenly it's in a tactic form. That's crazy.
That is crazy. And when you think about, like, that kind of opens the gateway, right? Like, what else are we going to get as a tactic skill, right? It's like attack tactic, or is it going to be like attack tactic, I don't know, dominance or something? Like, it's going to be something crazy like that?
I don't know.
Amazing.
I love it, though. And I think I think we are seeing the beginnings of the return of the Omni tank because of that.
I actually agree.
Yeah.
I actually agree, but I think that it's going to come in a new form so that we can't use our old ones.
Of course it will.
they want to sell it. They want to sell us stuff, right?
Right.
They don't want to just let
Yeah.
us use our favorite units because they don't make money off of that. Like I think that's the biggest thing that Brave Hector taught them. They're like, hey, look what we did with Brave Hector. We made a big mistake. Now everyone's using Brave Hector. We got to sell you the new thing, right?
Right.
So I feel like the new thing that they're going to be doing is they're going to be moving more towards like the Askr damage reduction, right? I guess technically it's Spring Maria first, but I'm going to say Askr because I like him better. But I could see that happening, right? Like I think that Askr is a very good example of how strong a unit can be just with that kind of damage reduction. So if they kind of lean into that and then give you supports who can support that effect or like that type of unit, then I could see Omni Taking coming back.
What about a flame, but giving out that type of damage reduction to other units?
Oh my, no, let's not do that, please. Jeez. Oh gosh.
I mean, one of the reasons why damage reduction got super popular is because of units like Flame and Elamine that can just give it to like these armors like Brave Hector. And honestly, because that and the fact that they're running save skills, which means you can't actually attack the supports, talking about air defense, that just made it so that IS needed to create even more powerful units to be able to counter those. And now I feel like IS, with this new damage reduction effect like Askr, is an attempt to like try to go the other direction, I guess you can say. It's really interesting to see. Yeah.
This is the way it would go. And we'll call it infantry res tactic when they do this, and it'll give out dodge. And the month after that is when they will release Flare, which for those of you who don't know what this is huge speculation in the community that's what they'll call the damage reduction skill for special for mages. So the Deadeye for mages, basically. And that's how they'll do that. Everyone would just go nuts over dodge, and then they'll release the counter to it immediately, and all of those units will be nerfed. All of them are just gone.
See, what I think they'll do is like they'll slowly build up the units who have that like Askr S damage reduction, right? And then once they have like enough where they can like kind of sell it, they're gonna nerf saves, and then everyone's gonna like crap, and they're gonna have to switch over to that, right? Like, because I think that's what they kind of do, right? It's like what they did with it's what they did with damage reduction tanks, right? Like we had damage reduction tanks, they got really, really popular. Everybody was running them, and then they bring out, Duo Lif with this damage reduction piercing and fatal smoke, and they're like, okay, we're gonna kill your old tanks, but here's these new tanks that are even better and they're safe units, and they just sold it to us, right? Like everybody jumped on that train super fast.
Well, Nat, if you want to put units to that is the full transition from Brave Ike to Brave Hector.
True, yeah.
Like that is
true, yeah.
And I mean, Brave Hector was good before because he definitely had that great refine, but he didn't really take off until that banner, like Far Save banner hit, and then it was like Brave Hector all the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. When I was working on my history of the meta video, that's like one of the things I definitely noticed. Like everybody was like, oh yeah, Hector was good the second his refine came out. And I was like, that's not actually true. Like he was good, but he was missing things like the Mystic Boost Seal and mostly saves, because a lot of times what would happen is you use Hector and then people just run right past him and just kill all your supports in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like in addition, like one of the things that's super hard for Omni tanks right now is the fact that you don't have that protection from save skills, right? Because there are so many traps or just so much movement from like knot lines or just legendary Sigurd that without that protection, it's really difficult to run Omni tanks. But saves just solve that, and that's, I think, still why we are in a heavily save-based meta, at least when it comes to Ether Race. It's just because you don't really have to worry about getting sniped or anything like that.
Yeah, but it's become so prevalent that no one even tries anymore. Like the number of maps you look at, the number of AR defense maps that you look at with large threat ranges, other than Chaos Season, they're just non-existent. And I mean, I've been talking to you guys this last Astra season. I did every match with legendary Dimitri. And I mean, this is like I got rank 70. That's where I ended up. So this is high level, and he just demolished folks. And they were mad at me. I have never had so many rematches in my entire life. Half the matches I did rematched me. But yeah, that's no one has big threat ranges anymore. And so you're not really worried as much about getting sniped.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. I mean, Astra season is sort of, let's just say very lackluster right now. I'm sorry, but like it's true, right? Like Elemi just like trivializes Astra seasons so much, and obviously, even if I don't have Elemi, that greatly influences the defense meta. And when, as you mentioned, it seems like defenses haven't been as threatening as before. Like, I don't know, like Astra sees, they really need to do something about Astra season. Maybe like introduce a new anima mythic, but I don't even know what you would even add to like salvage the situation in Astra.
If Elamine is on enemy team, she doesn't do anything. That's the ability.
Or just like give out Phantom Res plus 20 as a drive.
Oh
or something
gosh.
Like that.
I hope they don't do that.
I was so disappointed with Elamine. If you look at the power level of mythics, they were actually trending downwards. I mean, even if you look at units like Ashe, which are very good, she affected mobility more than she affected the team's power. And I really enjoyed that, because what started to happen is when you have really powerful mythics, it means that you're going to see that mythic every time. And so things become very cookie cutter. Once you go away from that and you have mythics like, Leaf, you get a lot more variety because people have to work around that. And when you unbalance the scale by putting Elamine on there, it means you have to put a mythic on there for anima that's going to balance that out. And it means every defense is going to have that exact mythic, and we're going to get a lot more cookie cutter. And I'm just disappointed that that's coming.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree, because that's just what always happens, right? Like when Not came out, everyone was using Not on every single defense ever. It's the problem with the mythic system entirely, in my opinion, right? Like, because I don't know how many people remember this, but like the first month of Ether Raids was like a really fun time because everyone was just using wild stuff. No one gets to craft, right? You can use whatever you want. And then mythics came out, and then the meta started shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And now we're at this point where it's like very small. You could like pretty much, count the amount of units you're going to see in like, maybe there's 20 or 30 different units you see on the Ether Raids defense at the most.
I mean, definitely. But when I tell people when they're building offense or defense, it really comes down to about 3 units per side. And that's really, that's what you're looking for. Right. Dual Chrom is obviously one of them. But anyway, but they're really very few units. We have 800 or so units. What are we up to now?
I think we're at 900, right?
Like,
are we at 900?
I don't think we're at 900. I think we're like approaching 800.
I'm gonna check right now. So I'm pretty sure it's actually we're at 844. I was wrong. Okay, 844.
Okay, we're already past 800. Yeah,
halfway there. Yeah,
halfway.
Jeez.
I mean, part of the reason I think is because like the power level that defenses need to have in order to overcome, like say Elamine or just saves in general, is just so high, right? Like Elamine wouldn't be nearly as much of a problem if save skills didn't exist. Like you would just run, I don't know, a cav line and that would just work fine. But the fact that you would need to actually focus on killing that one super powerful tank just obviously skyrockets Elamine's value in being able to shut down Katria, which is one of the ways a lot of people use to be able to kill that one super powerful tank. Like before saves, oftentimes on defenses, you try to snipe the support units, but now that's not a reliable method anymore to build a good defense.
And you you alluded to this just then, but the Catria is to defenses what Brave Hector is to offenses. Brave Hector is the free-to-play option for you to go out and win. And Catria was that for defenses. It was really the only way they gave you to take down these crazy, crazy units. And that's the big unbalancing thing, is they've completely taken that away.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's the problem too, is just like we get these units every year and they just come out and they're just like way more powerful than their like peers. You know what I mean? Like last year, we got Catria. There's others too. But then this year we obviously got like Duo Chrom, and Duo Chrom just stands above most other units that came out this year. Like who really can compete with Duo Chrom when it comes to power level? Like maybe Duo Thor, maybe Duo Dagger at the most, maybe. Like they're like close. But Duo Chrom is just a monster on every single thing you can possibly think of. Ether rates offense, Ether rates defense, every single SD possible, right? Like this unit's just completely busted, and it just completely makes the meta like warp around them, right? Not so much like last year, obviously it was Brow Catria. And because it warped so hard around her after having to deal with the movement meta, then we have Edelgard come out and that's their answer. And now the meta's warping around her kind of. It's kind of, I don't know, it's problematic.
I feel like, I will say, if it wasn't for the fact that defenses needed to overpower saves, I don't think Dual Chrom would have been as prevalent as he is now on Ether Rate's defense if like save skills didn't exist. Because if save skills didn't exist, I think we'll just go back to high threat range and that sort of movement meta. Because save skills just like shut that down, right? Like who needs movement when all the things that the opponent can do is just to attack the one tank.
This is something that I would love to talk to someone who has played just a large number of gachas. And because I had been digging into some of this and the terminology, and we've talked about this before, but the difference between power creep and a power spike. And you look at power spikes in the game, we talk about the save skills, we talk about Catria, we talk about Hardy Fighter. Those are things that, like you said, the meta warps around them. And I think we all agree that we don't really like the way that Faye handles the power spikes. And I'm curious, what is the proper way to handle that? Because you do want things that jump the game. It's just, I don't know how to do that properly.
I think, I don't know. Like the problem is that Faye has a lot of problems, to be honest. And one of the biggest problems is that they release so many units. Like it's unlike other gacha games where you have, or not, I guess there are other gacha games where they release a lot of units. But like, let's say like, I don't know, Genshin Impact, or I think even FGL, like they don't release nearly as many units, right? And so it allows them to have time to develop these units where they're not necessarily like, they're power spikes, but they're not power spikes that are like constant, I guess. Like how many power spikes do we get a year? 2 or 3 maybe? Like, and it's just problematic because it makes other units worse. And it also makes like everything revolve around that unit until the next thing comes out. And so what it does is just like creates a problem and then they sell us a solution, right? Like you've heard that a million times before. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest problem, right? Instead of like diversifying their like portfolio kind of, they just like make something better on top of it every time. And it's problematic. It gets annoying.
So to bring this full circle, I really want to say though, so we don't like this. I absolutely love this conversation we were having earlier, the stuff they're doing with infantry speed tactic, the stuff they're doing with the new smoke skills. I love the new inheritables that they're doing. I think they're doing an excellent job with those. I agree.
And I guess to sum it up, like I personally really do think that meta shifts in general are a good way to like spice up the meta, because I think one of the biggest problems with Ether Rates right now is that we are still stuck in the same meta of Catria balls versus save balls that we've had since, I want to say, Ascended Fjord's release, which is a long time. I think around 10 months now.
Yeah.
And I think even though we do have like a lot of power spikes, like we mentioned with like Dual Chrom, Hardy Fighter, they're not in a way that really shifted the meta in any sense, at least when it comes to ether raids. Obviously, Summoner's Duels is a different story. But I feel like what IS can do, besides the inheritables that we've mentioned, is to open up, I guess this also goes back to one of your videos, Oblivion, about design space, just like open up new mechanics or new ways of combat or like movement or things like that could potentially like be able to overcome some of these meta threats that we have currently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the thing is for me is like, if we look back at like the first year of ether raids, right, there was a lot of meta shifts in the first year of ether raids, but they were more organic. Right. What I mean by that is like people would create a thing and then people would go, okay, how do I defeat this thing? And they would make a way to defeat it, right? And then that would become the meta. And then, okay, then we do this, right? And it didn't completely trivialize the meta from before, right? So first we saw like a lot of like, I don't know, we saw a lot of healers really in Brave Lyn, and then they put up no C because that was getting toxic. But then like you see the Vantage meta start popping up. Okay, well, Vantage units are kind of problematic. How does people deal with that? They start making the Cav line, and the Cav line, okay, well, that kind of makes it much more difficult to Vantage the enemy team, right? And it kind of developed that way until these really powerful mythics start coming out that started to just take away a lot of that diversity. Like Milla, right? Milla came out and a lot of things just died instantly. Right. Like a lot of the rally traps, a lot of like the, stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of my problem with it, is that they've been doing that since then, where they just keep releasing these really powerful units that take away the chance for the players to develop the meta, right? Or like, usually skills are a good thing, I'd say. Usually skills actually help diversify the meta, and they give people a chance to use them in different ways, right? But then there's skills like the save skills that are a little bit too on the nose, right? Like that's a little too much.
And I honestly, I'm a save skill fan. I know you guys aren't. I am a huge fan of the save skills. I don't like how they've built around them so heavily. Like that is, I don't think they needed to beef them up any more than they already were. But the save skills by themselves allowed me to use a lot of my older armors in different ways, which, I mean, Arden is a great example.
Right.
That's fantastic using Arden. I love that. But I don't think they needed to pile on as much as they did. But I've just got to say, organic meta shifts. I love that. That is a great phrase right there. I hit it on the nose. I absolutely love that.
I don't hate save skills, I guess. I hate that how much influence they had, I guess. I feel like they didn't need to be as powerful as they are, and I don't think they need to be supported as much as they've been supported, right? Like, they were already really good when they came out. You don't need to introduce something like Hardy Fighter. You don't need to introduce even Ascendant Fjorm to an extent, right? Like, before Ascendant Fjorm, there was a clear weakness in saves that they couldn't counter healers and fire sweep effects. And that was good for the game. It was good for the game. It created a way for people to counterplay that, right? By introducing those other things, you take away that counterplay. It's just not good. It's not good for strategy games in particular, right? When it comes to strategy games, you always want there to be like strategies that can contest each other, and so that when it takes over, someone else starts to create another strategy to take over that one, right? And so it makes the game more interesting.
Right. I mean, I'll be the first to say, like, I completely despise save skills. I think they are the worst addition in FEH for like.
Oh, we know.
Well,
we know.
I genuinely think that like save skills are like the root of 75% of the problems I have with the current meta. Like, a lot of the problems we were talking about the overpowered units, everything else, like, it just comes down to the fact that save skills exist, and there needs to be a way to either buff them or counterplay them. And again, like Oblivion mentioned, for whatever reason, IS decided to not nerf save skills in any way, and instead decide to buff them when other strategies, like player-face strategies, for whatever reason, they introduced Hex Trap. Were people complaining about player-face strategies? Was that a thing that I missed? Like, I mean, they did also give us safety fence, I guess, so I guess that was one nice thing IS gave us, but I don't know. Like, I'm sort of salty, yes, but I just don't I mean, I do understand, actually. It's because that, I feel like a lot of people use save skills to do well in ether raids and various other modes. But I do also think that it reduces engagement from Fae because it reduces player agency as well. Like one of the things that I really love about player phase is that you are in control of every interaction, everything that is on the map, every combat, every initiation. Save skills, they remove all agency and just depends on stat checks, which I think are really boring. I mean, that's just my personal take on it. Maybe I should do a video about that.
Oblivion.
Yes.
Isn't this the guy who got to my map in Chaos Rage and Brave Hectored it? I'm just checking. Did I remember that correctly?
Okay. I will say it's only because you literally designed your map to be able to beat my Gale Force teams. Right? I swear.
In case you're wondering about the validity of that statement, that is 100% correct. Like, he's not kidding. I literally designed that around him. Because, I mean, DTM, you're the best. So I was like, okay, I'm not joking. Like, you are really good with player phase strategies. I was like, all right, if I can plan around this, then no one can take me down.
I wouldn't feel bad either. Everybody has a Brave Hector day, right? We all fall to the dark side a little bit. But speaking of what you were saying, I do agree with you. Like, when it comes to high-level players, right? When it comes to high-level players, I think you're correct. But I was talking to Tacho about this, actually. Tacho about this idea where he's like, well, a lot of the player base isn't high-level players. And so if you take away save skills, you just ruin the game for a lot of players. A lot of people are going to be very annoyed, and they're not going to want to play anymore because everything's getting destroyed, right? Because not a lot of people are going to invest the time to plan out a Gale Force strategy or a player phase strategy, right? A lot of people just want to tank. And if you don't have a good option for tanking in the game, you're going to lose a lot of interest in a lot of different game modes for the casual player base. So I think he actually, I didn't think of that before he mentioned it, but it really did kind of open my eyes to that, where I'm like, okay, maybe I'm being a little bit too hard on save skills. They are like a necessary evil, kind of. Like, we do need them for a large portion of the player base.
To a certain extent, I do agree on that. Although, I feel like if what we're talking about, the return of Omni tanking, actually does come into effect, that might obviously reduce that impact.
Right.
But that is definitely something to consider because, yeah, like, save skills are extremely popular for a reason and haven't been touched for a reason, right? And especially now that we have such powerful units because of powerful saves units, like,
oh my gosh,
it's a Pandora box that IS has opened, and it's hard to close it again.
I think that's, to be honest though, I think they've been doing that for a long time. It just was in different forms that was less obvious, right?
Right.
Like, we had really powerful units, and so what did they do? They're like, oh gosh, we've made too many powerful offensive units. We have to add damage reduction into the game. So then damage reduction shows up, and they're like, oh gosh, these damage reduction units don't die. We have to add more powerful units into the game. And then they add more powerful units. Oh crap, now they're too strong. They're killing all their normal saves. We got to add saves into the game. So it kind of is like just a giant spiral of things that happen.
Yeah,
I do have to, we've talked about it before, so we don't need to spend a whole lot of time on it. I continue to love Chaos Raids. It's so much fun. I'm so happy with that mode and how they did that. I'm a huge fan.
I've been having fun. Yeah. I think it's Gen 3 this week, and so Mufasa is a bonus unit. And so
very nice.
I have the beast team out there completely all beast up, and I just put him out there, and he just doesn't die to literally anything. I let him get quad by legendary Byleth with like Sublime Heaven, and he just took it like it was nothing. He's like, okay, what's up? I was like, okay, this is cool. This is fun.
Yeah, Chaos Season I've been enjoying as well so much. Although this time, I don't think I have a good Gen 3 bonus unit that can Gale Force, unlike Soleil or Navarre. Oh my god.
Right.
So I've been struggling trying to find one. I haven't done my run yet. But yeah, that Chaos Season has just been so much fun. It's also definitely the most F2P friendly competitive mode by a long shot. And I just really enjoy, I guess, that aspect as well from an F2P player. And just getting to use Lucina Emblem is just so amazing, even though I can't use it this year, this run.
Yeah, there's no Gen 3 Lucina, right?
No, unfortunately. There should have been, but that's a mistake IS can fix in the future with Ascended Lucina. Just saying.
Gen 7. I have Altina as a bonus unit too, so I'm also having fun with that. I'm pretty happy with that.
I mean, Legendary Dimitri. That's
because Legendary Dimitri is bonus, right?
He's a bonus, yeah.
Wait, is he Gen 3?
No, he's not, but he's
like
a bonus unit.
Okay. I was like completely confused for a second. I was like, wait a second, he's not that old, is he?
Yeah.
So I guess changing the topic a bit, unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about when it comes to Ether raids. We just got through one of the biggest events of the year. We have got our new Brave units, and we also have we're not sure yet, right? I don't want to like jinx us, but like we should be getting the Choose Your Legends 4 Brave Refined soon. And so we're like in a very exciting point of FEH right now, where we're getting all these cool new units, and then we're also going to get some new toys to play with our old units. So out of the newer the newer CYL we just got, which one is your favorite to play with? Like not necessarily the strongest, but just the funnest to play with.
Brave Chrom by far. It's just so much fun. Like the things that you can do with him is just, it might not be the most practical or the strongest, but it's super fun. And that to me, I really like.
I like the design of all of them, except for Tiki.
Tiki is definitely the most standard of them, I would say.
Yes.
I love Vantage strats, so I've really been enjoying Byleth. But I think Seliph's a great unit. I think Chrom is a lot of fun as well. I'm still mad that I had an SD match where Chrom outsped my legendary Dimitri because I wasn't paying attention to how many skills. Like I think he had like 8 of them stacked up. I wasn't paying attention at all, and he just demolished me.
Right, like that's one of the things I really appreciate. Like people talk about, oh, you can put Fallen Star on him, and you can, but I don't think that's really practical. What is practical is just stacking effects, and he just scales with that so well. Like you just need like Askr gives him 2, Katria gives him another. His infantry no follow-up and isolation gives like 2 more. Like you can stack so much, and it's really fun. So small complaint about that. It is so hard to tell how many effects are stacked on him.
True.
So hard. Right. Especially when there's a timer going on.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes, I've been there. I've definitely been there. I think that is like, I think everybody was really like overhyped on like him getting all these cool effects. Like everyone's like, I'm gonna get dominance and Fallen Star and stuff. And it's like, okay, sure. But the thing that really makes him good is just that he has no cap on his stats. So you can just get tons of stats. And Brave Chrom is just like Brave Eirika, right? Where like he's really speed dependent. If he wins that speed check, he's gonna do a lot of damage. He's gonna hurt.
Right.
And the cool thing is that he can get a lot of speed from just having buffs on him, which is really, really good. And I think that's like probably the most underrated thing that people don't notice about Chrom is just being able to stack speed without having to actually like change your skills. So it's just a matter of just having the right team around you.
Exactly.
And Asker's like his best friend. Seriously. Can't
blame him. Can't blame him.
No.
Yeah, like, because that gives like Resonant Blades and Resonant Shields, which are just 2 effects. And being infantry, he can get no follow-up that Chrom could just a fate change and get himself. And the synergy is just so amazing. I wish I had an Askr, but
he's really good. I wish I had more Askers. I went so hard. I was trying to get so many merges in Askr. I got none. I only got the one from the Spark. I was so mad. But yeah, I saw a +10. I saw several +10s during the SD weekend. And man, that unit is difficult to deal with if he's built right. He is so difficult to deal with.
He is. I can't believe he can tank Legendary Nana. Like that.
Oh, yeah.
That just blows me away.
Yeah, he just eats her up. It's amazing. I loved it. Someone came out with me with a Nana, and I just threw Askr in front. Like, nope, stop. And they're just like, oh crap. Like, what do I do? Oh man.
Yeah.
But yeah. For me, I think that Brave Byleth is probably the most fun I've been having. I really like Vantage strats, as you probably know, because I talk about Altina all the time. So I just have a blast with her. Like, she's so much fun to just kind of like, okay, they have one melee on the team or whatever. I'm gonna snipe the one melee and just let Byleth just destroy everything else. And I think her kit is like really, really well developed. Like, it's really synergistic and really good. And I think it's also very versatile, which is nice because it means if like, if Hardy Baron comes back into the meta and the Vantage strat doesn't work anymore, she's just really good as a player initiation mage, right? Like her just being able to go in and nuke with her special and then also, take that hit because of the damage reduction and then hit back with, more true damage on the second hit. Like, it's really, really powerful. And so I think like just fun-wise, I've been having a lot of fun with Byleth. Chrom has been fun, but for me, when it comes to the two Cavs, I definitely prefer Seliph. I knew Seliph was good, but I didn't know he was this good. Until you really get your hands on him, you can't really tell. But Seliph is bonkers. He's like ridiculous.
Yeah, that miracle effect on him just comes in clutch so many times. I think it really does push him over the top. Not even counting like the extra movement and true damage. Yeah. Like Seliph is definitely, I want to say, like the brave Eirika of this batch, except obviously for movement. And one of the things you can do is like you can also like just run hit and run since the Canto is on his weapon and not on his B. So effectively you can have 3 Canto instead of 2, unlike Eirika, which obviously in SD is an absolute huge menace.
Wait, what was that? Are you finally coming around? Like, are you agreeing with me that Canto remaining on Cavs is better than Canto static?
No, he has Canto too, doesn't he?
Seliph has Canto too. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he had Canto remaining. Dang it.
Sorry, Joel. Sorry to burst your
I
bubble.
got too excited. I'm sorry.
Nice try.
I keep on trying. But anyway, I think that is you took the words right out of my mouth. Brave Eirika. He is the Brave Eirika of this batch. And I'll say the same thing I did about that one. I thought Brave Marianne and Brave Marth had more potential, but Brave Eirika was just solid. You knew exactly what she was going to get and what you got, and she did her job well. I think that's going to be Seliph. And for this one, I think Chrom and Byleth have more potential. Right. I think they are designed better, though. So I think they'll have more staying power than Marianne and Marth did. But we'll see.
I mean, Marianne still has amazing staying power. Just going to say that right now.
The thing is with Marianne, because I'll just do a little thing on Marianne real quick. She only has to last for one more year, right? If she lasts one more year, she's gonna get a refine, and then she's gonna be better again. So I think she'll last, right? And then she'll get a refine, and then she'll be better, and we'll be good. The other two, I don't know. Gatekeeper and Marth, I don't think they even lasted the year.
Yeah. I know Game Press is like super high on Marth, and I personally don't see it.
He's a good unit.
He's okay.
He's okay. I think B tier is fair. Just saying.
I feel bad for Joel because me and DTM and Joel, it's us 3, and then he's just like always like trying to like put up Marth, and me and DTM are just knocking him down every time. Like, no.
Yeah. We need to get like another Brave Marth fan to come to the podcast. Maybe like JE or something, just to defend Brave Marth.
We gotta find one.
Yeah.
I'll finally get a friend.
Oh man. But speaking of Brave Seliph, I think that Brave Seliph is actually just like way better than Brave Eirika was when she released. I think like Brave Seliph is like, I think he's by far the best on the banner that I've been using him. Like, I think he's gonna be in the meta for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, the only reason why this unit isn't completely and utterly broken is the existence of Duo Thor being so prevalent. Like, if she wasn't prevalent, I think this unit just runs like laps on people.
Right. And yeah, that was one of the issues that I've seen with him. Thankfully, his extra movement is on the C, so theoretically you can always just swap that out with something else so that you don't get stalled. And thankfully he is fast, so especially on this current SD map, it's easier to like avoid Seliph being within range of the slowest unit. In a way, obviously that's really map dependent, but thankfully there are ways to play around that. So yeah, I do agree. I think Seliph will, at least for now, probably be the best when it comes to things like SD.
for me, it depends on where the speed creep goes, because I mean, in this past year, it's been insane. I just had a Seliph take on my Chaos Raids defense, and my Lysithea gets an effective 71 speed, and Seliph outsped her.
What?
It just absolutely nuts. And this is common. Like I'll do the math, and I'm like, 80 effective speed. Okay, that's enough. But as soon as Seliph gets outsped, then he is not nearly as good.
Right.
I think that's his big thing.
I think there's two big advantages that Seliph does have, though, right? Is that one, he's a player phase unit, and player phase units technically have better seals for speed, right? You have like Blade Session, which gives 9, and stuff like a Solo that gives 6, or like a Form that gives 7. So that's always a small speed advantage. And the second thing is that his B slot is open. And that's really massive, not only because you can run cool skills like Hit and Run, but you can also just run a lull. And I think people are like kind of sleeping on how good lulls are when it comes to winning speed checks. Like it's actually really powerful, because it's not only giving you 3 speed from the skill itself, but it's also canceling out any buff they can have, and it lets you run a buff pretty much. So like that's up to 9 speed swing sometimes.
Right.
And that's a lot, right? Usually like a generation of speed isn't a 9 increase like ever. I don't think we've ever gotten that big of a speed increase.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing sims on Seliph versus not, just out of curiosity, and like with equal investment without low speed defense, not actually is able to survive Seliph, thanks to bonus doubler in her weapon and the various damage reductions that she can have. But like with the low speed, like that obviously just completely shuts her down. And yeah, it is like the lulls is super powerful in a very buff oriented meta where I think we're heading in SD. And yeah, I mean, it will be very interesting to see. I mean, one of the main problems I had with Winter Lysithea is because the conditional brave is based on a speed check. And obviously, as units go faster, that gets harder and harder to reach. It is very interesting to think about, though, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I just think Seliph, like, he just has a lot of things that are really good that work together, right? Like the fact that he is a fast sword, that he has no follow-up in his C slot, he can buff himself, which is really nice. His B slot is open, which is massive. And then obviously like Miracle is like really, really powerful, because a lot of times he just wouldn't survive things, right? But then I'm in SD and he just runs in and he lives with 1 HP because of Miracle every time.
Yes.
Like very rarely did he actually die unless like he was already at 1 HP. And the thing with that also is that he just has a ton of true damage. Like I think people don't talk about that enough. Like we have something like Legendary Alm, right? And I'm obviously a big Legendary Alm fan, and I've been using him, and he's amazing. He's really, really powerful. There's not many tanks who can actually survive him, especially if he like builds correctly. Like let's say he's running into a dragon. If you put Water Sweep on him and give him infantry no follow-up, which is now prevalent or like usable, he just destroys them. And like normal tanks, he just destroys them. Like, and that's 25% true damage. Seliph has 40%, right? And it scales because it's based off the foe's defense. So as they get tankier, Seliph gets more powerful. And so I think that's like a really good thing to have.
Yeah, that's definitely very true. I feel like it'll be interesting to see how these brave units will perform as we continue on with Fae, because obviously right now Seliph is the best, and I think that will continue. But I always like tracking the trajectory of brave units and seeing how well they do in the current meta.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. You should do a video on that from like 1 year until next year to see where they end up.
I
that'd be really
sort of did that last year, but it was just another tier list. In
Okay.
effect,
Yeah.
will be interesting
so
to also see. Oh, go ahead.
Is Tiki as bad as I keep making fun of her for? Please, someone tell me that I'm wrong.
I
I'm
don't-
being too hard on her.
I don't think she's bad.
Not bad. She's not bad. She's not bad at all. She's a very good unit. It's just that she's not like a ridiculous unit, and that's what
Right.
we've been getting, right? We've been getting ridiculous units. So when you compare to like Duo Chrom, Duo Dagger, units like that, you're like, okay, well, she's not that good. But then you're like, when you take her and just look at her or like by herself, you're like, oh, this is actually a really solid unit.
Right. And I think this comes down to like Tiki being the most standard of the units, especially in a meta with saves. Like, she is really, really good, but there's just not a lot of situations where you would actually use her in.
Yeah. I
think the one thing that she can do really well though is in Arena, where she scores, I believe, 200 BST. The only units that score higher are Dual Chrom, Ascended Idun, and I think Winter Sothis. And obviously, Tiki is just way cheaper than those units, especially in the upcoming Hero Fest. So for F2P oriented players, she is actually a really good option for Arena, especially when Arena doesn't have that much save skills available. So I think that's where she will shine, at least as of now. Does that help, Joel?
Oh, definitely. Anytime that I've seen her or run into her in the past, I mean, how long have they been out for? A week? She dies.
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Yeah. She just gets cratered.
Yeah.
I haven't struggled with Tiki at all. And in fact, it's been a lot like all the other dragons.
I've struggled. I have struggled. That's why I always ban Tiki in SDS. Just because I, at least with the teams I have, I can't deal with like very tanky units. Like Yuri's, Dual Thor, Dual Dagger, I can deal with because I can actually take out those units. When it comes to like those Omni tanks, at least when it comes to SDS, I just can't deal with. And so, I mean, that's just from an F2P account. So,
so to bring it back around, though, I mean, it's interesting if this prediction here that Omni tanks start coming back in vogue. I wonder if that increases her value. Because I'll remind you guys, like when Brave Eirika came out, when that Brave banner came out, we did not think she was the best unit on that banner. Like that was almost everyone said Brave Marianne. So that'll be. I wonder who the dark horse in this set is. It'll be interesting to see.
That is something to like consider, right? Is that we don't know what's coming, while IS does. So like there could be skills coming out that make dragons better. Like we didn't see Distant Counter Dragon coming out a million miles away, right? So maybe if we're going to my dragons video, I'm still hopeful for this. Maybe we do get that dragon exclusive special and it really just pushes Brave Tiki up a level, like it did with Legendary Dimitri, right? Like Legendary Dimitri was like good, and then Astra came out and Legendary Dimitri got a lot better.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when it comes to like Brave Eirika, the thing that really catapulted her up to the top, in my personal opinion, was the introduction of Summoner's Duels, because that was a mode where she just excelled at and was by far the best, and compared to all the other Brave heroes. Like in Ether Raids, you can make the argument between Brave Marianne and Eirika, right? But it was Summoner's Duels that I think that really catapulted her value up. And who knows, IS could potentially introduce a new mode, or they could make a meta shift that, say, makes a unit like Tiki more valuable. It really just comes down to what IS decides to do.
So if you guys were looking into your crystal ball, what do you think the Brave units this year tell us about the coming meta?
Ooh. Okay, so we just got the Deirdre like banner reveal last night, right? And what I'm noticing is that we're getting a lot of miracle effects lately.
Yes.
So I'm kind of afraid of that, like becoming like that's a sign of what's to come, right? Like if we keep just getting miracle effects, that's be really annoying to deal with, especially because some of them are like they're non-special effects. Like Deirdre's non-special, right? So like some things don't work against that. So I'm like, oh crap. So if they start doing that, we're like, oh okay, our answer is now to add miracle on everybody. I could see that being very annoying to deal with.
I think when it comes to me, I think with the introduction of Brave Byleth being a Vantage unit and Brave Tiki being like an Omni tank, and this just might be me copium, but I think there might be an erosion seal coming in the near future, or something similar. That's my hope, honestly. Or some way to counterplay saves to make them less relevant in the current meta.
I still feel like they need to like be careful with that. Like I honestly feel like the best answer they could have done was the feud skills. If they would have just put the anti-save on the feud, it would have been so good because it would have like made it so that you had to build a unit to counter specific matchups. Well, if they just give out an answer like, okay, here's a new C skill and it just counters all saves, then like eventually that skill will become prevalent enough where like the meta has to like, kind of just move away from saves.
What about?
I kind of hope they don't do that.
What about a skill that makes it so that units that are just 2 spaces of a savior are not covered by the savior? Instead, you have to be adjacent in order for that to work. How would that work?
Well, what if they did save units can't counter?
I mean, that could work. It'll depend. Would that affect Ascended Fjorm? Are you envisioning or no?
You'd have to make it to where it wouldn't, or it would affect her. Like she couldn't counter.
I mean, I think that could be a possibility. I mean, that would just revert us back to
last year.
Yeah, last year where the answer was like, staff units, fire sweep, flash effects, which I think was pretty good, actually. But.
Yeah, it lets you give it to harder hitting units though. I mean, that's. I mean, think about some of these brave weapon users with this skill on there. Like, if you give Ninjoran this skill, then Brave Hector has a much harder time dealing with her.
Yeah,
I guess that's true.
Could be interesting. That could definitely be interesting.
Speaking of go ahead.
The thing that they can't get rid of is what save skills did is they made things less frustrating. Because it is really frustrating when you put your Omni tank out in the middle and somehow this defense has this weird AI manipulation that goes all the way around the map, up, back, and takes out this one unit all the way over in the corner. I mean, that was aggravating as all get out.
I loved it.
I love that.
I mean, I hate it when it happens to me, but I love it when I do it to the opponent.
Exactly.
When I'm watching a defense and that happens, I'm jumping out of my seat cheering. I'm like, yes, which Lysithea, good job. You found a way to get around it. Like, awesome.
I mean, I'm the same Oblivion, so.
But again, we have to look at the average player here.
I mean, that's true.
I agree.
That's really frustrating.
No, I agree. Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the reasons why, like, original Ether Raids, right? Like, they were just like really annoyed with all these cav units who were just like running around in all different directions, especially the ones you couldn't counter before Null C. Like, it was a very frustrating meta to be in.
I think it also just comes down to Ether Raids not having really good matchmaking as well. So, like, I don't think there's like any matchmaking besides Lift, and obviously that means that you can run into scenarios where, either a new or casual player just runs up to a fully invested +10 team that is like all thought out and everything. Obviously, that would be extremely frustrating to deal with.
I feel like Vault of Heaven was a good way to divide that, though. It was, I mean, obviously it's a bit of a band-aid and it doesn't replace good matchmaking, but it was definitely better than it was before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Oh, man. The pre-Vault days, like after Reagan, like, it was so bad. Like, I feel like the rankings I had, like, completely dropped just due to how inflated it was. It was just, yeah. So, yeah, Vault, I really like the addition of Vault, but, yeah. I do wish that they had better matchmaking in general.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you guys think about Binding Worlds?
I was gonna say too, our new game mode, right? I'm gonna be honest, like I felt like it was a bit underwhelming.
For me, it was fun at first, but like after a while, I sort of realized that all you basically did was put a unit into the Binding Worlds thing, and then just sweep everything else. And that's just the same strategy as you progress through the chambers. And so it sort of got a bit less interesting as it went on.
think if you look at it compared to our other modes that we've gotten, like this is always the time when we get kind of the dumb mode.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. Like it was just, I didn't have to think about it a lot. I went in, I built ridiculously high level units, and then I got out. Like I thought it was fun. I mean, especially when we've all talked about Frontline Phalanx enough. Like that was a huge whiff. But that was, what was last year was, the one where they go camping.
Hero's Journey.
Hero's Journey, which I enjoy that too. But I mean, I think this was a better mode than that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I did enjoy it as well. I mean, obviously, I don't think it's like the endgame PvE mode that we all hope for.
Right. Definitely not.
Yeah. But I mean, at least it was better than Frontline Phalanx, and I did enjoy it. So I guess that is something. And hopefully there will be something in the next book that will be more in depth.
I think there usually is.
Is there? Well, we got SD last year. What did we get before SD? I can't remember.
SD
Hans
was
Loki.
the ramped before SD was the ramped up Aether raids.
Right.
That was when they announced the +1s.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the sack meta.
Before that. And the sack meta. Oh gosh.
I keep forgetting that was when that introduced. Like, oh my goodness.
Oh man. Yeah, I actually, the only loss I had last season was a sack play. Like, you
I
kidding me?
those.
Go away.
But yeah, with Binding Worlds, I just found like it was fun. Like it was dumb fun, right? Like getting legendary alms like level 98 or 99 or whatever was fun, just blowing things up.
Mm-hmm.
But I do wish like there was more than one portal on the map. Like, you know what I mean? Like what if they put one like convenient and then one like in the far back or something? So like there was like some kind of like, okay, I can try like, you know, be stupid and try to get the extra portal for some stupid reason, just to have more levels or whatever. Just I wish there was just a little bit more. That's all I wanted.
It was interesting to me how different people perceived the difficulty, and how you played really depends a lot on how hard it was. I think if you tried to evenly put all of your units up at the same time, it is a much harder mode.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just build a raid boss, that seemed to be the way to go.
Yeah. Gotta love that plus level 99 Fallen Edelgard, just able to like sweep everything.
What did I do? I kind of went like, I kind of spread it out, but I got like a Harmonica Zura that was low level, but she had to dance. I was like, okay, you don't have to level ever again. You can just stay there. And so then I kind of like leveled up the other units kind of like evenly until the end. And then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to get one unit, like 98 or 99 or whatever. But I also have like, you know, most of my friends on my friends list are like whales. So everybody has like really good units.
So do you guys think we will get the co-op mode this December?
I personally hope so. I think a co-op mode would be super fun, depending on how they implement it. And I feel like that is something that a lot of people have expressed wanting for a long time now. And I feel like now with the infrastructure in place, it is the time. Maybe there's like more complications regarding to that, so maybe it will be next year, but I really do think that if co-op is ever going to happen, it would either be this year or next year.
I don't want to be the pessimist in the room, but I know that a lot of the Western audience has been talking about co-op for a long time, right? But I have no idea if the Eastern audience has even talked about it at all. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I think like they have the ear of IS if anybody has it.
Oh, yes.
So I would love to know what they've been talking about, what they want, so that we have a better idea. But I could see them just not knowing really, like, or if they do know, they just learned about it, right? Like, oh, it took them like 8 months to figure out that we've been talking about this, and like, okay, we'll start working on it, and it'll be next year, right?
Right.
So I'm not like completely confident we'll get a co-op mode. I'm just hoping that we get a more casual PvE mode. That's what I'm hoping, because I think we really need something just like that, where people can just be like, hey, I brought my favorite unit and I cleared this map. Look how cool it was. You know, just give us that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so switching topics a little bit, we did touch on this previously a bit, but we do know, well, we technically don't know, but it is likely that we'll have the CYL 4 refines. And I know that all of us have made videos about that. What would be your hopes now about the CYL 4 refines? Like anything in particular?
Okay, I'm gonna just say it. I need Brave Dimitri to be like Brave Ike or Brave Hector. Like he needs a refine. Like he needs the refine, right? He needs some help because that unit is not great. I don't care what anyone says. I have a +7 Brave Dimitri. He dies to literally everything.
Yeah,
he's terrible.
Yes.
I have. do you know how many times I have tried to make a redemption arc video about how Brave Dimitri isn't bad? And no, he's really bad.
Yes.
I just, it's nuts.
I mean, yeah. I've always thought he was bad. I've heard some people think that, you know, especially with like save skills, he could be made to work, but I just personally don't see it. I mean, I don't.
He can't.
Yeah.
I've tried. I have really, really tried. You gotta understand. Like, I was like, okay, we're just gonna make him a melee tank in front of a far save. That's what he'll do. No, he's terrible. He cannot do it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too, because I know a lot of people like say that he can, but I think like from our perspective at least, like we're all playing like at the very top of the game,
right?
So we're playing against like much more difficult teams. So yeah, like in the easier team, he probably can do okay, but when it comes to difficult teams, he just gets smoked like really, really bad.
What would you say is the thing holding Brave Dimitri back the hardest right now?
Oh man,
I mean, there might be a lot. There's definitely a lot,
much. So when they revealed Brave Dimitri on the banner, I was the first. I don't know if I was the first person, but I was one of the first people on Reddit who said he was bad. Like I was just like on it like immediately because I was so hyped for Brave Dimitri, right? Like that's the person I was voting for. Dimitri's my favorite of the 4 characters. I was very hyped for him. When I saw him, I was like, he's bad, and people got mad and downvoted me and stuff. But then even so, because it was Dimitri. Even so, because it was Dimitri, I still merged him up to +4 because I was just like, it's Dimitri, he's my favorite. Like I'm gonna merge him anyway. But the thing that I noticed immediately is that defense-based damage reduction is not very good. That's like one of the biggest things. It is easier to get that effect in the meta where there's so many speedy units, but it doesn't do what speed-based damage reduction does, which is make sure you only get hit once. With defense ones, you're getting hit twice typically, right? You don't have the speed to not get doubled, which is very, very big because a lot of times that second hit is going to have a special attached to it and you're going to get exploded. So I think that's like one of the biggest things. And then the other second thing is that his preference B skill isn't that great. It's okay. Like the defense-based damage reduction is the first part, but then the second part is it's like a quick riposte 5 or something. Like I don't understand why they couldn't have just made that dual phase. Like that would have been infinitely better. Like just give him, especially because they gave Brave Edelgard dual phase. I don't know why they couldn't give it to Dimitri.
Because Edelgard's the best, obviously.
But the reason it wouldn't have been better is because his stats are then wasted. Like you have just enough stats pumped into speed to make him awkward and make his auto doubles just okay. Like it needed to be higher speed in NFU or lower speed and dual phase guaranteed follow up. Like
absolutely.
That's just they put him in a weird spot.
Yes. His kit is very not synergistic, and also his weapon is poop. Like his weapon sucks. Like I was talking about earlier with the Senate Fiorm, these distant counter weapons don't get stats, and that's really, really bad. Because when you think about it, right, when you're getting +5 to all stats, what are you really getting? You're getting 20 BST. So when you don't have that, you're losing 20 BST, right? You're going from a 180 unit, or like I guess it's from a 200 unit down to 180, right? Everybody else is at 200, you're at 180. That's a big gap to fill, and that's like putting him down already. And then secondly, his special acceleration effect is terrible. It's like the Owain one where it's only based off the enemy's attack. That's super outdated. That was bad when Owain came out. Like, why would you give that to Brave Dimitri, 2 or 3 years later? Like, that should have at least been steady breath effect, like at the very least.
Yeah, like
what's the weapon you replace it with right now? Is it Coral Saber?
There's I believe so, or like Love Candelabra or something like that. It's the one where it's like, I think there's like damage reduction in it and like reducing attack and defense. I forget what it was called.
It's like if you get doubled, right? Is that one?
Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
But there are straight up inheritable weapons that are better than Dimitri's preference weapon.
Yep.
And I mean, he's 2 years old. That's nuts.
Right.
It was just bad to begin with. Yeah, I don't know.
It was.
Yeah. But hey, at least he won Phoenix Masters poll, so he got that going for him. That'll always be immortalized.
Oh man. But
I think that's why so many people hate him, by the way. He was the consensus PM1 pick. And so everyone got him. And everyone realized that Oblivion was right.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that. I still get a lot of hate for this. I will give everyone a little sneak peek. I have a video coming up, and I'm really afraid of how the reaction's going to be to it.
I am so looking forward to that.
I'm hoping it's well received. We'll see. Anyway, other than Brave Dimitri, Claude was so cool. I thought Claude was the best unit. That's the unit I was propping up and saying was the best unit.
Right.
Because he was really cool, and I liked his design. Because I do like the enemy phase healing people, like Ike pretty much, right? It's like Ike put Claude and on a flying unit. So I was in love with Claude, but then Fatal Smoke ruined him. So I'm not really sure. I think everybody's trying to fix Claude and try to make him back into what he was. But I don't know if it's possible. So maybe it's better they just kind of take a turn and try to make him into something else.
Right. For me, the main problem is that even if Fatal Smoke, he becomes immune by it, there's just so many units now that can one-shot him because of the level of power that has just increased with the new units that we have. Obviously dual Chrom and Catria with the Brave effects. Even if Fatal Smoke is fixed, if Claude isn't able to get out his special, then there's no healing, and his entire shtick is just dead in the water. So that's actually one of the reasons why I really like Joel's suggestion in his video, the miracle effect. I think that could help out a lot. But I don't know, honestly. I don't know what to do with him. He was definitely the hardest to theory craft, and I still don't think I did it well either.
I think that's one of the things he needs. If we're being honest, he needs the 2-pager.
Yeah.
He definitely needs anti-guard.
We need to introduce the scroll feature for him.
Oh god, let's not.
Oh boy,
please. Oh man. But yeah, I think a cool thing they could do is just swap him over to more of an offensive bow. I think that could be cool. If you make him kind of special spammy and give him an anti-guard effect, and then something like that, right? No follow-up, then maybe he could switch over to a more offensive role and do that well. Because I don't think his tanking role is it's gonna be difficult to get him to be actually good at it nowadays.
Yeah.
Especially because not only are the one-shots really powerful, there's also just brave weapons everywhere now. It's oh man, if he doesn't survive that first hit, that second hit's gonna definitely get him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't help that ranged flyers don't even have the best B skills either, or any skills. So yeah, it definitely will be very tough. What about What about Brave Lysithea? For me personally, I think the only thing she really needs, obviously it would be very nice to have more effects, but the only thing that she needs to immediately catapult her to top tier would be Winter Burnie's self damage. That would just be so good for her.
I would love it because I don't have a Winter Burnie, and so that is
right.
one more thing that I'll be able to play with. And so
it's so nice. It's so nice. It's
it's so good. Yeah, Oh, go ahead.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
With Winter Burnie, I actually did test out using Vantage Altina, and it actually worked out really well. And
thank you.
I never actually used her in any of my matches, but she worked really well against a lot of the practice runs I did for the first Chaos season. And effects like that just opens up so many options, and I think just really would have catapulted Brave Lysithea's value, regardless of anything else that they would have given her.
Yeah. I think the Winter Burn effect is like the most important thing because it makes her like a really powerful support outside of just combat, right?
Right.
And it also makes her combat better too, which is really nice. I think the other thing that could really help her is if she could have a way to pierce damage reduction. So either if they put that in the Refine itself or they release Flare, and then that can help her a lot. The other thing could be like maybe turning off defensive specials, right? Like but like on a ranged unit, right? That like Winter or Legendary Nana. Like if she had that and then Flare came out, she would be a top tier threat, right? Like she'd be really good at support. She'd be able to hit twice, pierce damage reduction, and not activate Hardy Fighter. Like that would be a really good unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that with all of that becoming like probably like immediate S+ tier or something. But
right.
You know what else? Who else will be an S+ tier after the Refine? Brave Edelgard, let's go. I'm so excited for Brave Edelgard.
I'm so worried.
I'm waiting for the Brave Lyn Refine. I'm just going,
okay, don't even talk about that. That is like my one big fear. Because even though like
the +4 all stats.
I mean, I really hope she does get no armor because like regardless of everything else, that would just be super huge for her because one of the biggest problems she has right now being a far save unit is, you know, she's absolutely destroyed by dual Chrom. And a part of that is because of armor weakness. If that would have been fixed, that would make the matchups a lot better. I mean, she could still do a near save, but I mean, Nana does exist, and I mean, I definitely do think that Brave Edelgard has aged the best, but she's definitely, I think, not on the level as, say, Brave Hector or Ascendant Idun is currently. So, you know, if she could just reach that level, that would be really nice. Just a thought.
I don't know if they want to do Brave Hector 2.0. That's kind of scary.
I mean, they did it once before. They could do it again.
If they gave her Hardy Fighter, that would just be nuts.
Oh my... Joel, don't even say that. Why would you put that out there? Oh my gosh. That would be like the most toxic Refine ever. That would be so annoying to deal with.
I did actually think about putting Hardy Fighter in her weapon as part of my theory craft, but thought that was a little bit too much. But
yeah.
I mean, I think even regardless, like if they give her something like Shell's effect, I think that would be really cool.
That would be broken. That'd be so strong. Oh my gosh. I think like this might be obvious coming from me, but like I think my Refine is what is a good power level where it just gives her the anti-armor, it gives her some healing, and you get some stats, right? I think that's all she really needs, and she'll be like very good. Like, will she be top tier armor ever? No, but she'll be very good still, right? Like, the biggest problem is her armor weakness, and then like just having healing means that she doesn't need to run any type of healing, which is really nice. And then she, stats are always good.
Yeah,
I will make a guarantee right here and say that whatever she gets, the Edelgard fans will be mad that she didn't get more.
Oh, man.
Why would you call me out like that, Joel? Come on. I thought we were friends.
I mean, if she gets the Brave Hector treatment, I don't think anyone can complain at all, right? Like, that's...
But no, she doesn't have Pathfinder. That clearly makes her bad.
Oh, my gosh. Let's not do that. That would be horrifying.
I saw someone theory craft a Refine for her that gave her Pathfinder, and I just thought that was a really interesting direction to take. Especially if it's like a positive effect. That plus Brave Chrom. Alright, it's all coming together now.
Oh, man. I think that would be cool though if they made her like the mobile armor, because she already kind of is that. So if they just kind of played that up even more, I think that would be unique and fun, and not just like stupidly powerful, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Like no armor and having more mobility, I think, that would be really fun. Definitely fun in some of your duels, I think. Because I think if it wasn't for that bad dual Chrom matchup, Brave Edelgard with her warping effect would actually be like super strong there.
I agree completely. Like one of the biggest problems I had with this current SD match was like trying to get my save into position. I always had to run like, I don't know, like Biocatcher could do it, or like Guidance or something like that, or like Pivot, like, you know what I mean? Like stuff you don't really want to run, but you have to. So, like Edelgard would just fix that instantly, just like being able to warp in, like that would even help with like positioning other units as well.
Right.
That's kind of the fun thing about SDS though. Go ahead and use your Edelgard and just ban every Chrom.
That's true. I was using.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was using Fallen Rhea, and I mean, if Dual Chrom doesn't exist, she is amazing in ST.
That is true. I mean, I do think there are more problems with Brave Edelgard besides just Dual Chrom, but yeah, that is... I mean, I'm very limited by Hardy Fighter fodder, so I can't really like test that out, but that would be interesting to think. They really need They really need to increase the inheritance slots. That's just all I'm saying.
Yes. It's ridiculous that we just can't inherit everything off a unit. Like this is a 5-star premium unit used most of the time, right? That you are spending 100 to 200 orbs on sometimes, and you can't even get everything off of them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been talking for like almost 1.5 hours now. This has been super fun as always. Yeah, time flies, obviously, when we're having fun. Is there anything else you want to bring up before we sign off?
I'll just say my usual propaganda. Altina's really great. Legendary Alm's amazing. Brave Ike's still good. There we go. I'm good.
Vote Sharena for CYL. Listen, I'm not even expecting her to win. You gotta understand, when you vote, they are much, much more likely to get alts, and it's been way too long.
I agree.
Oh yeah, I agree.
That girl needs an alt.
I really hope so as well. So I'll definitely be rooting for you for CYL. And yeah, I guess for me, this has always been super fun as always, so I really do appreciate just talking about Fae with both of you. You are so amazing, and I'm so happy to have met you all. Congratulations, Oblivion, by the way, for reaching 3K subs.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, and all the audience, definitely go ahead and check out both Oblivion and Phaeology. The links to their channel will be in the description down below. And yeah, I think that concludes our State of FEH podcast. We've been talking...
Wait, oh. You didn't do your thing. Shoot, I was gonna memorize it today and I forgot. It's just remember to like, comment, and subscribe and all that jazz. It only takes 5 seconds, but it really helps the channel out.
You got
basically,
it.
Yeah.
Did I get it?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, good. I meant to say it at the beginning and I completely forgot.
Oh no.
Dadgummit.
Ruined. All right, we have to redo our podcast. Let's spend another 1.5 hours talking.
Won't even be hard.
Yeah. Definitely not. But yeah, like Joel said, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz to help support the channel. Only takes 5 seconds to subscribe, but it sure does help out the channel a lot. I really do appreciate all the constant support. And yeah, let us know down in the comments what your current thoughts are on Fae as of now. What interests you the most that has been introduced in the past couple months. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and see you all next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.